I think we are going live. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So welcome everyone. I want to welcome everyone into the Live Well Kingston. Bless you. Bless you, Phil. To the Live Well Kingston Commission meeting. It's May 18th. I think we are going live. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So welcome everyone. I want to welcome everyone. Are we in a weird, that was a weird feedback loop. I'm not sure what just happened. We were in a little time portal there for a moment. Is it going to happen again? That was really creepy. Okay, I'm gonna go. Welcome everyone. Oh, I think I know what it is. Weird feedback loop. I'm not sure. I figured it out. Okay. It was the YouTube. Hi, Katrina. Welcome in, everybody. So technology is not my friend today, but we are here. I think I just got that figured out. Okay. I'm gonna start over again. Welcome everyone to the Live Well Kingston Commission meeting, May 18th at 4:11 p.m. We got late because we had multiple problems with technology. So we are here. We have a pretty short agenda, which will be good. I think the evening will go by quickly. Where should I go? I want to start with a round of introductions, as we always do. I'll start us off and then pass. And I had a bit of a teaser question as an icebreaker today. Here's the question for you all. I heard this on a radio program. Is a hot dog a sandwich? So when we go around, give me your feedback. If you consider a hot dog a sandwich, yes or no. I hear that this is a big debate in the culinary world, and it just tickled me so. All right, so I'm going to introduce myself. So I'm Emily Flynn. I'm the Director of Health and Wellness for the City of Kingston. I use she, her pronouns. And I do not think that a hot dog is a sandwich. Yes, it is meat between bread, but it is its own thing in my mind. All right, I am going to pass us to Marcia, since you're right here, and I'm going to turn the screen if you'd like to speak into the screen.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Marcia Sebro, Project Manager with the Health and Wellness Department. It's good to be here, and technology may not be our friend this evening, but we are all friends on this call. So icebreaker question, is a hot dog a sandwich? I'm going to say it is not a sandwich, and something I feel I give myself permission to have every 4th of July after watching the hot dog eating competition down at Coney Island. Looking forward to the competition and having multiple hot dogs, which is not the same as having multiple sandwiches. And I will pass it to our other live guests.
Hello, friends. It's Phil. He, him. I stumbled on this meeting. I'm happy to be here. I may. Anyway. The hot dog. Well, if a hot dog is a sandwich, so is a taco, and I don't think that that's a sandwich either. It's its own thing, right? Like Emily said. And I'll pass it to Ted.
Thank you, Phil. I'm Troy Ellen Dixon. My pronouns are she, her, aya. I am chair of Live Well Kingston. And to the prompt question, no, a hot dog is not a sandwich, because then if it was considered a sandwich, then a hamburger would be a sandwich because it's usually on a bun. And then there's hoagies and subs and heroes. They're also on buns or on bread. So no, it's a hot dog. And I will pass it to Malia.
Hi, everyone. Glad to see Phil, my county legislator, there in the room. Thanks for representing. I'm Malia. I've been on the Live Well Kingston Commission Well, I just retook my oath of office not that long ago, so I've been on for a little while now. I live in the Rondout. I work at Bard College, and I'm a vegetarian, and I never liked hot dogs. So that's my answer to that question.
Can I pass it for you? Katrina, how are you doing? Are you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Excuse me. I'm Katrina Williams. I'm the Deputy Commissioner now of the Ulster County Department of Mental Health. It's my dog. I use she, her, they, then, them, pronouns, any of those are fine. And it's funny, you're reminding me of a really great memory I have pre-COVID, like one of those bonfire parties with friends. We debated into the wee hours of the night what and what is not a sandwich. So it seems I'm in the right company here because a hot dog is not a sandwich. Oh, I'll pass over to, did Cindy go yet? Oh, no, I didn't think so.
Okay, thanks. Hi, I'm Cindy Muro. I use she, her pronouns. I am representing Grow Well Kingston today to let you know what's happening with there. And on the hot dog thing, I just say no, just because that's what I say. No, doesn't seem like it. Is there anybody else to pass to? I can't see the whole screen.
No, I think that's
Good.
everyone. Yeah. Of course, give a wave if I forgot you, but I think that's everybody. And I don't see any other attendees waiting to come in. So we might be a smaller group tonight. So thank you for that. I thought that debate was going to be much more robust. I thought there was going to be someone who was going to feel strongly about it being a sandwich, but thank you for going along with me tonight. So we unfortunately do not have a quorum. We only have 3 commissioners with us. So we will not be able to pass the approval of the April meeting minutes. That's fine. We'll bring it to next month and hopefully we'll get a quorum. But as Live Well usually is, even though we don't have official business, we always have really great information that we share with each other. So next up on the agenda will be a presentation or just a conversation with Cindy about Grow Well. So we'll be accepting the Grow Well report tonight. And I just want to mention a few other things on the agenda. So then we're going to do a stretch. Then after that, we have a few, Troy Ellen has put on community shred day on new business. And I added a reminder about the Kingston zoning draft that just got released. And then just a quick mention about the draft action plan and some announcements and communications. So I think it'll be a fairly quick night. Of course, if there's anything, would anyone like to add anything to new business? Anything anybody wants to add to the agenda tonight? I see shakings of no's with their heads, so thank you for that. All right, so we'll move on. Cindy, will you please tell us what's going on in Grow Well?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, it's spring, so things are headed up in the growing department. First, I'd like to start off by thanking Phil Erner, who came by Barman Park last Saturday and helped me load a lot of soil into garden beds. So he's just a man about town. So thank you so much for that, Phil. It was great. So as far as Grow Well goes, because it's the beginning of the growing season, we are putting a lot of focus and attention on the existing community gardens in Kingston, to support them in whatever ways we are available to support them. We're working on a map to show where all of the gardens are located, and just checking in with the garden stewards, or if there aren't garden stewards, trying to find out who's managing things so that each of those gardens can be successful this year. I think, yeah, so that they're tended to is a big focus right now. And the gardens that we are assisting with are the Liberty Street Garden, the Barman Park Garden, which is going to be having a grand reopening this Saturday. It's going to go along with the My Kingston Kids event that's happening at Barman Park this weekend. So I'll be there giving away seedlings and hopefully orienteering some of the new gardeners who are going to be coming in there. And there's still a few spaces available there. Supporting the South Pine Street community garden and the Round Out community garden. And George Washington School is kind of, not really so much in the loop of support because this school is a separate entity, but we're also, trying to get the word out to the public where we have garden spaces available, which right now is Liberty Street, Barman Park, South Pine, and Round Out all have openings for gardeners. Let's see what else. This Saturday, Barman Park. We are putting any current information on our Facebook page for the community to see. And let's see. We are planning, which I think is further down on the agenda, but there's going to be a trial run of a community garden walking tour on June 11th, which I think Emily maybe is going to speak more about. And then you can decide if you want to invite all the Live Well people to come to that or not. And let's see, what else are we working on? The YMCA Farm Project, which we are connected with in this group, is having their another seedling sale tomorrow. And I'm working on a thing. It's come to our attention through this group that the soil, just, the bare naked raw soil in Kingston, to some greater or lesser degree, has it's contaminated with heavy metals. And we had a professor from SUNY New Paltz who did some testing last summer at some of our community gardens, and is continuing testing things like the rainwater and the vegetables that come out of the gardens for the next 2 years. So looking at doing some education for the community so that A, they're aware of it, and B, what they need to know about it and best practices for dealing with this situation. So that will be forthcoming. And I think the only other, I'm sure that maybe Troy Ellen or Emily can fill in if I've forgotten something. I know that there's a group also looking into possibly down the road finding some compensation for the garden stewards, because the garden stewards are the ones who really, help the gardens stay successful. Without a garden steward, the gardens just fall into disrepair, as what happened with Barman Park. It got built 10 or 12 years ago, and 2 years ago, I thought it was a forest because it was surrounded by big trees. So those are all of the things that I can think of off the top of my head. I think I may have left out the African burial grounds as part of the gardens that we're trying to support. So that's what I have to report to you about. If anybody has any questions or inquiries, I'm happy to answer them. And then after that, I'm probably not going to stay on this meeting because I have a pickup truck full of mulch I have to offload while the sun's still shining.
So Phil's got a question, it looks like.
All right.
I don't know if I need to turn it.
Thank you, Cindy, for that presentation. Do you have any connection with the Wilbur Community Garden?
I do not, other than that I follow them on Facebook. And I know Troy Ellen probably is a little more familiar with it than me. I just know that it's there, and that it's more of a wild space pollinator garden. I did not think that it was a community garden for people to grow vegetables in. But they do have a Facebook page, which is rather delightful.
The reason I ask is, I know LK who's taking care of it, and she's looking for a summer steward for when she's gone. Maybe like others here know that, but I just ran into Miles Davis, Mr. Miles Davis from Ulster County Office of Employment and Training. And they got $15 an hour jobs for youth 14 to 20. And Miles seemed to think that you could make a farm, perhaps even a City of Kingston community garden, a work site, and then youth could get paid to go and do what you were saying, looking for some stewards in some of these other spaces.
Well, I think that that sounds great. I think that it would be good if we could sort of match up these, these groups with the people who need the help. And I think that the YMCA Farm Project is a great source to look for teens, because many teens have gone through there and have, interest and some training, who may be interested in something like that. So maybe if we could swap information or somehow put these things together, we could take it from there.
I wanted to share that I met LK for the first time over at the Earth Fair at Forsyth Park, that event that happened on May 14th. And we spoke about the garden over at Wilbur, that it is a pollinator garden, which is something that Troy Ellen had been informing our Grow Well team about. And she told me that she spoke with you, Phil, about this opportunity to have youngsters come in. So what I know about the summer youth program, is that we would have to register with the county ahead of time, that it's a placement. I don't know that, I think it's not going to solve our problem for needing a supervisor or garden steward. Like, someone has to be there to train the youth, to do their timesheets. So when an employer makes an agreement to be a site for these youth programs, there has to be an administrator in place. The summer youth program is awesome, but you can get kiddos anywhere from 14 to 17. They may not know. It's great learning opportunity, but someone will still have to show them their eager helping hands, the ropes. And then I think there's also a commitment to the amount of hours that you would be able to give youth. So I think it's definitely worth exploring, but we would still need an administrator to supervise the site. We can't have youth there unsupervised and pay them under this program.
I wonder if we could put out the word to all the different community gardeners in Kingston and share that responsibility among them. Like, okay, I could volunteer this one day at Wilbur and that one day at Pine, this one day at the African Berry, and then rotate that around. Not every garden's going to need attention necessarily every day as it is. And maybe we could make our priorities and then fill it in that way.
Yeah, I think it would be maybe to start with OET and get that employer application and see what is expected of the employer in bringing on a youth worker, because it should be, mutually beneficial for a young person looking to gain work skills and to learn and be supervised, and then what administrative commitment can we make? And to also keep in mind with youth around transportation. that they need supports, that if we're thinking about having them go to multiple sites, that would be on us to do that, and we would need permission because they're youth. So,
Yeah.
but it's a great idea to explore. It's very, very successful program. And the deadlines for things are pretty early, like, is it March? Oh, no. Oh, it says May 31st, the application for the kids to apply. Okay.
Thank you for that, Phil. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting idea. And I keep looking up at the screen and here to see if anybody else wanted to put their hand up. Any
I
other-
have one more comment.
Oh,
So
Phil's got another one.
respects,
Yeah.
Cindy, you mentioned Liberty, and I heard from, Pal, who's helping with Liberty, that they're also having work day this Saturday and Sunday. I just want to mention to the group.
That's right. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
You were a little pixelated there, Cindy. I think you were saying, yeah, that's correct.
I'll call them and get their
Cool.
application.
Awesome. Thank you for that report, Cindy. I'm trying to think of anything that you forgot. I think you covered all of it. Also pausing if Troy Ellen remembers anything, or if Marcia wants anything.
I have another one.
I'm very optimistic about the work we're doing in Grow Well.
Thank you.
There's a lot of love that the gardens could get from our community. And I think we're just starting to sort of reignite some of the collaborative work that can happen with our gardens. So it's a pretty exciting time to be working on it. I just want to mention that the Grow Well group itself, the community that we have in that group is really wonderful. Some of our other focus teams have been struggling a little bit with sort of having that kind of cohesive of a group. So I want to congratulate Grow Well and sort of a wonderful community that we've built there. And it's sort of for me a bit of a model that I want to try to bring to our other focus teams. I don't know. Any other thoughts, Marcia, Troy Ellen, anyone else involved in Grow Well? Have anything they want to add to our Grow Well program, or any questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, and I was biking home yesterday and I saw your big white truck at the Barman Park Garden. You were working with the Boys and Girls Club. And then I saw the Boys and Girls Club post on Instagram about it, and it filled my heart with joy. Thank you for all the work that you do for all the gardens in the city of Kingston.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was good fun yesterday. We're getting there. The kids love it. So it's nice. And I also helped pick up 2 truckloads of slab wood somewhere in West Hurley. We dropped off at Liberty Street. So good day in the gardens yesterday. Hopefully we can keep it going.
And it feels like there's an infinite amount of work there. So thank you for trying to do that little bit that you're able to do. I shouldn't say little bit. Thank you for doing the chunk that you're able to do. It feels like it's a lot.
You're welcome. Inch by inch, we'll get it there.
Cool. Yeah, and what you mentioned, the Facebook group, I want to mention that. So on Facebook, there's a Grow Well Kingston group. I think if you just type that in, you can find it. And I believe that it's a community where people can share resources and ask for support. So I want to promote that as part of Live Well Kingston. I think that's it for this session of the agenda. So unless anyone's waving me down. So the next up on our agenda was a stretch break. So welcome to join me. I'm going to stand up and do a little bit some stretches. Feel free to turn off your screen if you'd prefer. I was thinking about this today and for what I was going to do for the stretch break. And I was thinking about my wrists a lot today. And so I don't know, but I spend a lot of time on the computer. So I'm going to go up and down on my wrists sometimes.
I'm going to head out.
And I'm gonna, I don't know, I think I'm gonna stretch my arms around, do some shoulder rolls. I also feel free to move. Bye, Cindy, thank you so much. Feel free to do what feels right in your body at this time, always. And let's see, some shoulder rolls. I'm gonna do some big breaths. So I'm gonna lift up, do a big breath. And let it go, and do another one, breathe in. I'm going to do one more big breath. And I don't know, I think I'm sort of feeling that. I think I can welcome us all back. Sometimes just that little bit of moving your body, getting up out of your chair can really help unstick your body and mind. And as our commissioners know, that's part of our culture here in the Live Well Kingston is we have a stretch break and we call it Stacy's after our Commissioner Stacy who initiated those stretches. Okay, so next up on our agenda is new business. Troy Ellen, I've got Shred Day on here next. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, the community that I lived in before moving to Kingston, many of the communities that I lived in Connecticut, have community shred days. And served a function, obviously. They would bring like a huge shred truck and people could bring, some communities allowed it to be limitless. Some communities said, you know, maximum of X amount of boxes per household or something like that. But it was a nice, it was supporting the community in a way. And I've seen a couple of shred days in New York State. I can't for the life of me because I couldn't find them, but I don't remember if it was in the Hudson Valley or Westchester County, which apparently when I was growing up in Westchester County, we didn't know we were in the Hudson Valley, but it is. And I was just thinking that perhaps this was something that Live Well Kingston, I'm not saying it has to be this year, but that Live Well Kingston could do, because as part of us supporting the community, it doesn't always need to be about nutrition, you know, growing things, aging in place, whatever, but it could also be something that's very general across all members of the community to help them safely discard lots of paper that tends to, I mean, even if anybody has like a personal shredder, it's time consuming. Whereas if you get a shred truck with industrial capabilities, they can like toss an entire box in and it's crisscross cut in minutes. So I'm just putting that out as something that we perhaps could consider hosting. And obviously we'd have to find out how other communities do it, but it might be something. And I've seen communities even in Wilton where I live, where it was like, there would be a bake sale around it, you know, or some other kind of thing. So it wasn't just about shredding documents. We could make it as grand or as simple as possible. So that's my idea.
And my question, I feel like maybe I've seen a shred truck at a community event here, but I cannot remember. And it was probably years ago now. Can anyone think of that? It feels like Trail, it might be a great combination with the Earth Fair next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps. And I think we could do, you know, some communities, it's like it's the 10th annual Shred Day. People look forward to it. You know, there are communities, particularly in Connecticut, where they have the hazardous household waste day. So you can bring your, you know, empty paint cans and all that kind of stuff so that it will be disposed of properly in a way that's environmentally sound. I'm putting it out for consideration, something that will serves a function, helps to increase awareness of Live Well Kingston, and also benefits the community.
And the reason I think I'm immediately thinking of the Earth Fair is because at the Earth Fair, we did a recycling of technology kind of a drive. So it was a very similar kind of feel. So it wasn't the toxic paints, but it was all the computer technology, it was wires, it was rechargeable batteries. And I worked at that table for a little bit. And it was interesting that some people brought in things like light bulbs, and we couldn't accept light bulbs. And the mayor was saying that the county accepts light bulbs like 2 days a year. And so there is something funny to me about how there's these separate events for these separate things. I'm not going to get on my soapbox here, but yes, I think a shred day, maybe in combination with the Earth Fair, might be a great idea. Marcia and Kristen, our two staff members in the Health and Wellness Department, worked a lot on supporting the Earth Fair this year. So I'm sure we can bring it back to that Earth Fair committee to consider it, unless there's another event. Yeah, Phil's got an idea.
It's been a couple months since I went on a Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency meeting, but the last ones I was on, they talked about this, the
Yeah.
events that they help put on to deal with this stuff. And I appreciate your point about why we have to have a separate thing for different kinds of waste. And I think they would probably be supportive of a more unified approach, especially as county policy seems to be shifting toward, well, we're going to not be trucking things across the state anymore. We got to deal with our own stuff. And that includes all the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on that?
Well, I just wanted to weigh in and say I think it's a great idea. And I love the idea of making it one just huge recycling event, whether it's on Earth Day or, to really make it so we can optimize, let people bring in as many different things as possible. Seems like a good way to try to do it. Thanks, Troy Allen. Great idea.
I don't know what's typically part of Earth Day, but this makes me think, I know there's, I forget what it's called, but like there's this, when your expired prescription medicine turning in, like I know there's a day for that, but it seems like, I mean, if we're going to have like a community thing where we're going to be turning in our old papers that need to be shredded, like it would be good to include that if we can as part of it too, so that people can, I mean, if you don't want to miss prescription drug turn-in day, and if you do, it would be nice to have another opportunity.
That's an excellent point, Malia. They started, all communities across the country started that because they realized people were dumping things down their toilets and it was getting into the water system and affecting the fish and other water creatures.
Yeah, thank you for that, Malia. Actually, that came up in the county, has been coming up the past couple of months. Apparently, there's a state law around pharmacies having to take back unused drugs that the state is not enforcing. Our county was trying to pass our own law, and we were told, well, you can't because the state has a law, but if they're not enforcing it. So anyway, that's being talked about on the county level. Right now, anybody can take drugs to the nearest police or sheriff station, but not everybody wants to go to the police or sheriff stations, of course, and that's been talked about as well. So that is in process on the county level. I love the idea of educating people about that at a turn in all your trash type day. And then in terms of something else, Malia, you and I had talked about months ago with the compost, that they could also include bring your food scraps to this event too. Mm-hmm. Not to take any credit, that was your idea that I really support.
I would thank you. I was going to mention it. I mean, the main difference is like with the prescription drugs and with shredding, it's sort of like a one-time thing. Like you can bring your accumulated stuff and just turn it in. And with compost, it'd be great to sort of get a sense of how many people are interested in doing that. Like people don't normally save up their compost and if they don't already have a place to turn it in, but if we wanted to try to use a sort of like an educational or a launch event for a larger, some kind of composting program, we could tell people ahead of time. And they also need special receptacles for, I mean, it doesn't have to be that special. I know some people buy these ridiculously expensive special composting buckets. I just bought like a $5 thing at Home Goods, plastic, it sits in my fridge. That's all you need. But, and so like, it could be good. I think it takes a little bit more planning and preparation than the shredding and the prescription drug turn-in aspect of it, just because it's something that people aren't used to doing. If we're trying to expand use of composting rather than just giving people an outlet for stuff that they already have.
Yeah, and I would suggest if we did anything like that, that we would work with the climate smart communities. And I think Julie Noble's working on the organics management plan. And I can't speak to the status of that, but I know she's still working on it. So there must be a status still about it. So of course I would work with other partners that are already sort of in that arena of work. Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, cool.
Katrina put into the chat, maybe we can partner with the sheriff's office and Oracle for drug take back.
Mhm. Definitely.
Yeah, and our department has those safe disposal kits that we could give away if people want to safely dispose their medication and they, don't have it or something like that. We have those in our department.
That's great, just for us to know also that's a thing that the county has. Thank you for that. All right, thank you, Troy. You always bring up great things, collaborative potential projects. If there's no other thoughts on that, I'll move us along. All right, the city of Kingston has posted a draft of the Kingston Forward Zoning Project. So this is a big project that the city's been working on. It will affect all of the zoning in the city of Kingston, which may not be terribly interesting. It's a little bit technical, but it actually affects a lot. It affects where and how housing is placed in the city of Kingston. And in my world, it can affect how street standards and how streets are set up. And so, as some of you all know, I am the project manager for the pedestrian and bicycle master plan. And so there's overlap there between the zoning code is going to have some street standards and recommendations, and the bike ped master plan, which may have some streets recommendations. So my call or my ask in the meeting tonight is for everyone to go, and I can put the link in the chat. Let me just find it. I'll find it while we're talking. Here it is. Great. My ask for everyone is to go to this link and read the draft plan and send the city your thoughts and feedback. So it looks, if you go to that link, it goes to the Engage Kingston website, which is where you can find about all of the plans and projects for the city of Kingston. And on that page is all of the public meetings and opportunities for public feedback. In fact, I'm going to share my screen and show it because I think it's really great. And also my ask is to let other people know. So first ask, let's see, is it showing up yet? So first ask is for you to go and review the form-based code that's right here in the upper right, and then to also share this with others. And if you scroll down the screen, come on screen update, but as you see right around here is a list of all of the public meetings, and they have them separated by neighborhood, which I think is really wonderful. So there's a big open house, and then a waterfront walking tour June 11th. Then there's an open house on June 10th, location to be confirmed. Then for other neighborhoods, there's at the Old Dutch Church and the Rondat Neighborhood Center. So a robust public outreach is happening. And because that's, as I mentioned, could have a big effect on the zoning and the housing in our community. I'll pause there because I think I'm rambling a little bit. Any questions? I can't really speak to the zoning code specifically, but any questions generally about that project or about this public outreach?
Not directly related to that, but
Yeah.
can Kingston Forward also publicize the general board meetings that are happening?
Let me answer that. So like if a common council person does a ward meeting, can Engage Kingston advertise it?
Yeah.
I don't know if Engage Kingston would be the platform, but maybe Summer Smith, the city's communications director, would be the person to ask. Yeah. She definitely, maybe I shouldn't speak for her. I think it's very likely that she would be able to put that in the mayor's newsletter, for example. And I've definitely seen her put them on Facebook. So I think when we know about them, she advertises them.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Any other questions about that? Yeah, Malia, go ahead.
I'm just wondering about any of the other draft plans that we should be thinking about as a commission. So I know it's like the thing that's dominating that website that you shared with us, that I just opened, is the rezoning draft plan, which I know, well, a lot of it is around housing and has impacts on like potentially on gardens or people's ability to have gardens at their homes and just public open space. So a lot of, and some of it because of the street design intersects, I think, with the plan that you were just talking about, Emily. So I just wonder if this is something that that we should look at and provide some thoughts on as a commission, because they're going through all these this public engagement planning and input process right now. And so over the next couple of weeks, so the timing is good.
I agree wholeheartedly. There's a lot of overlap. I also want to welcome in Lori. Lori is a commissioner for the city of Live Well Kingston. I just want to say hi, Lori. You're muted if you want to talk. We can't hear you. Lori, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I apologize for being late. I am at a mental health award night with Nina Dorsey, and I forgot it. They overlap,
That's wonderful. It sounds like a
but
lot.
they're doing great things for the children and the youth of Ulster County. So they're trying to break down the barrier of the stigma of mental health. So I think that's a great thing.
That's wonderful. Thanks for calling in live on the scene.
Yeah, so I apologize for,
No, it's all good.
being late, and I can't stay long.
We appreciate it. Cool.
I wish I could be in both places at the same exact time. So what I just heard was that something about gardening within the communities. Could you just recap that a little bit?
Sure. And so also a reminder to everyone, so this is being streamed live on YouTube, and anybody who missed it, you can go back and watch it on YouTube at any time. It's on the Kingston's YouTube channel. We had a presentation from Cindy about Grow Well, about gardening. So I recommend going back and watching that. And then just now we were talking about the city has published a draft zoning code. And Malia was bringing up that could affect how agriculture and gardening is done in the city. And to add on to that, Malia, so I haven't read this draft that is currently posted, but I read a previous draft that was for city staff, and I don't know what has changed since then, so little disclaimer. But the draft that I read for city staff, the language around zoning for gardening felt very supportive to me. I was very pleased that it allowed gardening, and that I forget the language exactly, but I had Bartek, the director of housing, kind of just clarify some of the language. It was even clearer that gardening and some agriculture, I got to look back at it, is absolutely allowed. So that was promising. But please double check me. Please go into the code and see if you understand that to be true. And if it's not clear, let's push them to have clearer language, because we want that to be very accessible.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Other ways that zoning code is important is, we don't have a housing well for Live Well, but housing is very important in one's health. And so I believe that the zoning will affect the ability for more affordable housing to be built in the city of Kingston. So there's lots of overlap in a lot of the work that we do in terms of the different aspects of health. So traveling, the streetscape, housing, gardening, trying to think of other overlaps in the zoning. That's all I can think of for now. Any other questions about zoning or anything that else that brings up? All right.
You see the zoning as also aiding with preventing displacements in the first place. Do you see anything explicit in there or even implicit? Is that a question for Bartek?
I think that's more of a question for Bartek. He'll be able to answer a lot better. The little bit that I do know is, like, for example, in the zoning code, it may have language that allows accessory dwelling units. So that's kind of smaller housing options that can be built. So right now, my understanding is that there's parts of our city of Kingston that are zoned in a way that you cannot build, sometimes it's called like an in-law suite or something. And this zoning code would allow that, for example. So that increases the amount of stock. And I love that sort of idea of maybe collaborative housing, so, you know, that someone could be independent. Like, I think of as an older person, like my parents could be independent, but yet still get support from a family member nearby. I don't know if that necessarily keeps people in the houses where they currently are, but that's one, I think, positive aspect of the zoning. Yeah, and I think, so Bartek Stardash is the housing director, and he can answer those questions. Oh, and Heidi has joined us. Welcome, Heidi. Thanks for joining us. Heidi's also a commissioner for Live Well Kingston, and we're moving through quickly tonight. Any last questions about zoning?
Just wanted to make the comment about the ADUs, that it's not only for the elderly, but if there are grown children, particularly since there is a housing crunch and there's some, you know, people aren't earning enough perhaps to have their own place, it's a way that you could have multi-generational households, but not under a single roof, but on the same piece of property. So whether it's a cottage or an addition to a home or something built above the garage, it would allow people to do that. And allows then seniors to stay in their own home once they're living on fixed income, because now one of their grown children is contributing to the expenses.
That sounds awesome. I remember years ago, they used to build a lot of mother-daughter type housing, but you don't see that so much anymore.
Single family zoning. It was the way of the suburbs.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Thank you, Emily, for that.
All right, and so thank you for that, everybody. So now we actually have quorum now. We've got Lori and Heidi. So I wanted to take a moment and offer up that if anyone wanted to, I wanted to ask the commission if you all got a chance to review April's meeting minutes. And if so, would anyone would like to make a motion to approve I'm sorry. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, April's meeting minutes. So any edits, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'm not sure if we're at a quorum because I wasn't there in April, so I can't vote on these minutes.
Okay.
I missed April as well.
Thank you for that. So I'm not sure then if there might be a time when you're not able to pass meeting minutes because of, anyway, that's fine. So let's pause it for next month, and hopefully we'll get enough people that have been at the meetings and we can sort it out next time. Okay. So I will take that back and we will hold that for next month. Okay, great. So then that brings me to old business. And I just wanted to mention, I'm not going to go into the draft action plan. So every year, Live Well Kingston makes a plan for kind of the year and the projects that we're going to take on. And we spent the last couple of months really diving deep into that. So I feel like we're sort of in a good place to sort of pause that for a little bit. I'm just going to update that Emily and I wrote staff, but my team will work on doing some research on veterans services in the county. That's a takeaway. That's a next step that we're going to work on, is a little bit of an assessment of what veteran services are here in the city. I don't have much more to say on that yet, but I just wanted to sort of pause on. Yeah, Malia, go ahead.
Actually, yeah, I know you said you don't have much more to say on it, but because I'm very involved with veterans issues locally, I'm just interested in understanding how you're planning on approaching this and who you think you might be talking to about it.
Not to be too dramatic about it, but we were gonna and have a phone call and a bit of a download and then a bit of a Google search. So first I was just gonna do some Googling, and Healwell recently had a panel with Gavin Walters, I believe is his name.
Yes, Gavin, yeah.
And so we didn't get to talk to him personally, but he was an excellent panelist. And so I have his email now, and I'm very excited to try to build that relationship.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll just share now with you here. One thing I think is interesting. It's not very well known is Kingston. The city of Kingston actually has one of the very few homes for homeless veterans in the entire Hudson Valley. It's a really great partnership between the city, which provides and maintains the facility, like the house, and then the programming within it is provided by VA funded and other funding. So the city has nothing to do with what goes on inside, but just provided this space. And I think homelessness among veterans is a much bigger problem than some people realize, including in rural areas where it's often invisible. And so I'm really glad that the city of Kingston uniquely has this program. So I just wanted to highlight that as something that should be included in your findings.
Malia, how about also going to the county to Mark Casapoli? Ever since meeting him, we met like probably 2.5 months ago, and now I see him everywhere. He's everywhere, bringing veterans.
Mark is great. Yeah, I was going to mention that because Emily said she's going to reach out to me, and so I can put you in touch with these folks. But another reason that we're lucky here in Kingston is because we're also the county seat, and Ulster County has a really fantastic veteran service office that has multiple full-time employees, and what they do, a lot of what they do is helping make sure that veterans have access to their benefits. And I'm not sure how much if they've ever connected with the city as an entity. They do a lot of events, like they're having a bunch of Memorial Day events soon, and a lot of those events take place in Kingston, but it's organized at the county level. And I don't know Mark could tell you how many veterans we think there are in Ulster County, but you'll soon discover one of the issues, one of the difficulties for those who want to help veterans is that we don't know how many there are unless they self-identify. The VA doesn't have some big comprehensive list of veterans and where they live. So if they want to access benefits, they've got to raise their hand and say, please come help me. Yeah, I'm also a member of the local American Legion and VFW, so happy to talk about that. I don't want to take up all our time here with that, but I'm really glad to hear that you're working on that. Just another thing to realize, another important part of the veterans population, younger veterans, SUNY Ulster here in Kingston, not the one in Stone Ridge, but the SUNY Ulster here in Kingston, they have a student veterans coordinator. Actually, maybe he is out of the Stone Ridge campus. He works part-time, but I think he's here in Kingston. So student veterans are a big part of the population here locally too, and they are less likely to access other kinds of benefits. And so like the county veteran service office might not know who they are, because the only person who knows they're a veteran is SUNY Ulster that's like working on getting them their tuition benefits.
Interesting. As someone who's not a veteran, I didn't, I did not know about all these resources, but it sounds so typical of other things too. It sounds like, do you see much collaboration between these different organizations, Malia?
Yeah, I mean, Manny Torres at SUNY Ulster and Mark Cozzapoli definitely know each other. But I think a lot of Mark's staff time is taken up with helping individual veterans whose access to benefits is imperiled or delayed, or they have some kind of problem. And so a lot of what the office does is working very closely on, you just can't even, you've never seen bureaucracy until you've seen the VA. And they also, they have daily, they have a vehicle and they do daily runs up to the VA clinic in Albany, where they're delivering veterans up there to get health care. And so that's a big part of their budget too, is having the van and hiring a driver and picking up these people. So I know there's Mark Cozzapoli, wants to partner on a lot of things. And I think it's a question of resources and time in a lot of ways. There's a lot of goodwill. All these people know each other. I mean, Gavin, Manny Torres, they all know each other. And they're all working on separate issues for the same population.
And I see that Katrina put in the chat that she's welcome to connect me with the county VA. So thank you so much for that. Thank you, Malia. You basically, we just had our phone call. Thank you. Yeah, I think our thought was to do that, what you just did, and maybe we'll also still reach out for you to see if there's anything there that else hasn't been mentioned, to sort of collect some of those resources, maybe put it on our website, and find out what steps we want to take after that. But right now, just assessing, just finding out what is out there. And at some point, I'd love to try to share that information or see how it fits into our other Live Well work. Yeah, Troy, go ahead.
I would also ask Malia about the group that I worked through to put together the celebrating women in the military. I can't remember the name. Hudson Valley something for veteran reintegration.
Yes, that's where Gavin is at. So yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Troy. All right. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for all of that. I don't see any other hands up or questions coming up. So I'm going to move on then to announcements and communications on the agenda. If you're able to see it, a few people have joined, I think, since I put it in the chat. So I'm going to put it in again. So the reason I'm putting the agenda in the chat at the end of our meeting is because at the bottom of this document, I listed a whole bunch of events and things that Live Well Kingston is supporting or doing. So I'm going to read through them because there's a lot going on. I just want to bring your attention to it. Please join us in any of these events. Please share it with others. Hopefully I'm trying to put most of them out on our social media. So we just had a Grow Well Focus team meeting. That's in the past. We just had our Age Well meeting. But Well is doing a mental health walk this Saturday at 10 a.m. We're meeting in the Kingston Plaza by the tourist train. We're meeting right where there's a bike port, right in that area. And we're going to go walk along the linear park and back. And it's sort of because we did that mental health panel, and we realized that one way to support mental health is to walk with each other in nature, move our bodies. And this just felt like a natural next step, was to do an in-person walk. So that's this Saturday. Next up is the Kingston Women's Bike Fest. That's happening May 28th. I think I have on the document here at 9, but I think that's the setup time. I think that's when I have to be there. I think everyone else has to be there at 10 a.m. at Keegan Ailes. There will be at least two bicycle rides, a gravel ride and a mural ride, because we're doing it in collaboration with the O Positive Festival. There will be workshops Sam from Revolution Bicycles will present on how to buy and maintain a bicycle. The organizers from the Rochester Women's Bicycle Festival are coming down to visit us, and we're paying them to come and tell us about how they have organized bicycling in their community, which is really wonderful. I'm so pleased that we've gotten sponsorships from O Positive and Health Alliance and Scenic Hudson to pay for them to come and present with us. There will be bike repair from Tom Polk at 2 p.m. There will be, what else is going on this month? So it's an O Positive block party. So there will be music and food and drink, of course. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other things. So it's a whole festival on May 28th that's coming up soon. We're having it.
I'm sorry.
10 to 4. Thank you for asking that. Yeah. And in the morning is sort of the expo and workshops, and the afternoon is music and Tom's bike repair. So if you only can come for some of the time, there'll be something for you, a little bit different each during the course of the day. Travel Well is trying to get going again. We have our first Travel Well meeting on May 31st. We're just going to scale up. So this first Travel Well meeting is just with a few core people that were involved in the Kingston Land Trust and the Green Line. And we're start to envision what this next iteration of Travel Well focus team will be. What should I mention there? That in the past, Live Well has supported the Green Line network of trails a lot in the past. And so we sort of want to reconfigure that now. A few people have moved on to new positions, so we want to reconfigure what kind of support we want to give. Also, the city of Kingston has done a lot in active transportation, walking and biking in the city of Kingston in the last 10 years. So the Green Line network of trails was really a vision that happened about 10 years ago. And now a lot of that's come online and into fruition. And it sort of feels like it's a time to take a step back and see what we want to see happen in the next 10 years. So I sort of hope that that is a focus of this group kind of restarting. All right, so that's the Travel Well focus team. The next Grow Well focus team is June 2nd at 10 a.m. Bike Friendly Kingston is doing their slow rides the first Thursdays, coming from the YMCA. And so that next ride will be on June 2nd. That's coming up quickly. Heal Well will be on June 3rd at noon. And Grow Well, as Cindy mentioned, will be doing a garden walk, June 11th, 10 a.m. at the GW Elementary School. That the audience for that is sort of our Grow Well focus team. And of course, commissioners and guests are always welcome. We're not advertising it to the general public quite yet. We want to organize another walk in the fall that's a little bit better organized. This is more for us to sort of get to know the gardens ourselves. And then we want to plan it out so that everyone feels welcome to a bigger walk in the fall. Whew, that's all I've got. I'm sure I've forgotten things. I'm going to open it up now if anyone else has any other announcements or communications that they want to present to us. Anybody got anything? What's going on in your worlds?
I don't have anything going on here, but I have to say we're all in quarantine for the first time in my family, and my 5-year-old was very sad to miss Earth Day, and she's going to be very sad to miss the walk, so we'll miss everybody on Saturday.
I hope you are all doing well and getting healing. It's a tough time for that. Yeah.
We're all good. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other announcements or communications? Anything anybody wants to put out there about health or about your organization?
At People's Place, the Tuesday farm stand is back in action, and they start about 8:30 in the morning until the food runs out, or 11 o'clock.
Thank you for that, Lori. I've biked past it, and when they're setting it all up, and it's a lot of food. It's a lot that they put out. Great. Any other announcements or communications? Anything anybody wants to bring up before we draw this meeting to a close? Going twice.
I got some.
Oh, Phil's got somebody. Hey, Phil.
Just generally in the county, some legislators are talking about possibly introducing some more fundamental, basic economic needs-based departments, such as food and agriculture, transportation, really having the county directly address the fundamentals that we see. Might be housing, could be its own department. Why isn't it, sort of thing. And would love for the group to weigh in on what you see going into such departments.
Thank you for that. I have a personal experience that I can feed into that. So during COVID, Project Resilience started up and started delivering foods. The Kingston Emergency Food started up. Our county support was Amanda Laval from the environmental department. And that was because there wasn't a department, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, in the county that dealt with food resources. So I vote for a department that works on food access at the county level.
Yeah. Amanda just gave a great presentation to the American Rescue Plan Act Committee last week about that, and there was a lot of receptivity, it sounded like, from the committee. I'm not on that committee, although I did tell them that I wanted to support that effort. And so good, I'll talk to Amanda.
Yeah.
But this group could too.
Yeah. It always felt a little, oh, Traylon, you got your hand up. I was just gonna say, it feels a little crazy to me that the county doesn't have that. And there is a county emergency plan that included a little bit of food access, but it didn't include it to the extent that COVID needed it. So it was like more about hurricanes, because it was written after Hurricane Sandy, for example. So I don't know if this has happened ever, if it's part of the recovery plan, but a county food resource plan would be something that department could take on. So I definitely see a need for it. Traylon, you had your hand up. Did you want to bring something up?
I just wanted to point out that the Kingston Emergency Food Collaborative actually preceded Kingston Project Resilience, rather, because oftentimes people still refer to KEFC as Project Resilience, and it was a grassroots effort, and I want to uplift and honor the fact that, people came together and 5 days later we're getting food out of the door. Yes, Project Resilience supported KEFC, but they weren't actually packing up all the meals, picking them up at restaurants, packing them all up and getting them out to the community. So I want to honor that work, and it's still continuing.
Troy, Ellen, I feel like I appreciate you saying that, because I feel like that's where my mind is sort of going, coming from one of the county departments, is I feel like a lot of what we're talking about maybe not a lot of, but an important piece of it is better integration throughout the departments in the county and partnering with the grassroots organizations that are doing the work to really optimize. I just feel like when we're talking about veteran services, it's a good example of many, right? Where there's so many folks doing really excellent work, and for me, it's really about becoming a well-oiled machine where we're all working together to make sure that the needs are met, as they did to an extraordinary degree when COVID hit and we all kind of banded together.
Absolutely, and thank you for making that point, Katrina. I mean, that's the C in KEFC, is collaborative. We're working with a lot of different people to benefit the community in many ways, including continued direct service delivery of prepared meals and groceries, which I know disaster preparedness plans sort of have a date certain when they end, because they know that it's not going to be a forever thing. Whereas KEFC is saying, as long as one person is hungry, it's an emergency. So we're going to keep delivering. And it's important, I think. And we're very fortunate to have a lot of committed people working with us.
You have more? Yeah.
Just to add to all that, I am so glad you said what you said about the community leading and then the government following Troy Ellen. And this idea of food agriculture as a department absolutely comes from the ground. And my own experience seeing the county kind of jump in when it saw what was happening, fund it for a minute, and then got out. For whatever the reason, no money wasn't, whatever they said, I found that personally appalling, actually. And what the county can do, and I know for several of you on this call, I'm supposed to be that voice, but for those who are not in Leg 6 or have friends in other districts, like everyone call your legislator and tell them what you think and tell them the county has the way to leverage these resources and coordinate as Katrina said. And that's what we need to be doing. Bottom line.
Yeah. I was just pausing for any other thoughts or comments. All right. Thank you, everyone. We always touch on a lot in these meetings because I think as we all know, health is kind of all of them. We're so lucky to get to work on this work. That's how I feel. If no one's waving me down, I can hear, I guess we're not in quorum. So no, we are in quorum. So I can hear a motion to adjourn the meeting. I want to mention that our next meeting will be June 15th from 4 to 5:30. So I could hear a motion to adjourn if anyone would like to do so. Great. So I saw Katrina's hand go up. So I'm going to say Katrina motioned, and Malia, can I put you down?
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor to adjourn, say aye, give me a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Lori. All right, so I'm gonna say thank you, good night to everyone. Lori, thank you for calling in from your event. Thank you, Katrina, for calling in from being quarantine. Malia, Heidi, Troy Ellen, of course. And of course, we were so grateful to have Phil tonight. And thank you, Marcia. Good night, everybody.
Good night.